And we're going to, there we go. Okay. Yay. All right. Now I am looking for my share button. Here we go. Okay. So let's go into the administrative settings. So to find that, I go to, it will say, hi, Corinne, or hi, Ashley. It'll be right here in the upper right corner. Go to administrative settings. Now, in this screen, these are considered tabs. So in this one, this is your district buildings. These are all the buildings here. And we also have some closed buildings. You can easily delete those by coming in and just hitting the delete button, and then they will go away. If you have, like, for example, in the elementary school, let's say you have a before and after school program that is here, you can always edit this. You need to have an agreement number, which is not located, but we can come here and add a subunit. So if you have a Montessori school, whatever before and after school care, you can come in, click on it. It's the same information that you would fill in here. You can list this as a program. If that's what you're like, let's say an enhancement program, it's active. And then the agreement number and the entity code, you can find those in the EEM. So that is all there. So that's what, look, this is what District Builder is about. So as an administrator, only you can do this. Under district support, this is a nice feature. You can come in and add, normally this will come up automatically with Eaton Risa, and it is not, seems to be responding today. Huh. Let's try to see if we can, normally the whole list will come up. I apologize for that. But under here, like, let's say, for example, this is very helpful. I know Lindsay's on the call today. So let's say Lindsay's ISD is providing some support around systems thinking. And you're like, my district needs that support. Then you can add Lindsay's ISD district here. And then what happens is your district portfolio shows up on her dashboard. And that is used then to support you as you create plans. User management, this is where the magic happens, I think, for a lot of them. Sorry. When we go in here, this is where you manage your users. Again, I have 2 pages of users here. And again, this is where all my development work is. So you can see a lot of developers here. But to create a user, it's very simple. You come in and you would just add this person's name, give an email address, and then select a role. When you select a role, you only have one role that you manage, and that is district user. Now, I have had lots of districts come back and say, well, wait a minute, I need to add, we have a new assistant superintendent. I need to add that administrator to my platform. All administrators, whether they're at districts, ISD, and actually the state level, is all done by myself or Rennie Arazo. The MDE group is the one that sets administrators. And so if you've got a new assistant superintendent, and I know I have some supers on the line right now, it's simply just an email to me or to Rennie saying, hey, we had some change in leadership. Can you add this person? It will be done almost instantly. So when you come here and you select district users, now you've got a new menu. And this is, you want to take some time and discuss what permissions you're going to give a user to have. So in the process guide and in the platform guide, there are specific roles of what these permissions mean. So if I give a user the ability to view district data, that means that they can look at like the data story, look at what you've put in terms of like your hexagon tool ratings and so forth, but they can't change anything. They can't edit. You only can edit until we click on the ability to edit district data, which means then they can bring in more data into your data story. You can also give them the ability to update your strategy, your goals. And you can see here that those really, and where most of your users are going to probably interact with in my KIP. But there are some other ones here. So a submit plan. Now, my KIP was not a one size fits all. And we know that, you know, we have some districts that have many layers of administrators when it comes to planning and approval. And so if you're in on a continuous improvement team, but before anything goes live into your portfolio, there may be, say, an assistant superintendent or a superintendent that says, no, I have to review everything before we submit. Then that particular person would get would figure out whether I need to give them permission to submit plan or not. When you're assigned an administrative role with the state, we select all. We give you all permissions so that you're not limited. But you may decide, well, my team needs to be able to edit, but I think I'm going to talk about submitting. The open and close plan, that actually, I'll show you when we go back into the portfolio, there's a little lock that's on there. And what happens is, because we've had distance learning for almost 2 years, a lot of teams would come in and they would get their plans set. And then the administrator is like, I don't want anybody changing it. So they would lock it. And so then we close the plan. Everybody can see it. But even those who have editing rights, that function is turned off. So it's to help with like basically closing a plan for a little while. And then this section is really what it appears to be. If I'm on a team and I want to see what the evaluation of a goal looks like at this point, I can do that. I can also edit. And again, another layer of approval. If you, again, like the submit plan, if you have a layer of leadership that says, before we, say that a goal is complete and determining whether it's going to be a maintenance or active goal or archive goal, then we check on that. So I'm going to stop for a minute and see if there are any questions here, because there's a lot to create user.
So Terry, you mentioned about reaching out to you. I'm the new assistant superintendent. Our old assistant superintendent's still on there. She made everybody a district admin, and you mentioned only to have 2.
Yep.
So how do I go about editing that and getting her off of it?
Yeah, just send me an email and I'll go through.
And Terry, what's your email? I don't know it.
Oh, I'm happy. It's, let me put it right here because you can see that. 2 T's at the end. And all state accounts are michigan.gov.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good question. Yes. In fact, we're getting to be that time of the year where I always think of is the shuffle, right? We're going from, new roles and so forth. So you're going to be doing a lot of changing in your user management. So please check on that regularly. Another rule that I'd like to point out is here. All right. So you'll see pencils. Whenever you see a pencil, that means you have the ability to edit. So this pencil shows up in a lot of places. But in this particular case, this means that I can edit this user. And I can do a few things here. I can change their settings, but most importantly, I can deactivate them. So you as a district admin manage district users. So here's a lot of, Melissa, who was just, asked the question about managing her district. If you have district users that you want to deactivate, you need to deactivate them. If you have district admin that need to be deactivated, then it's simply an email. Well, what happens a lot is that people are getting, roles are changing. So one may start out as a user, but then change to an administrator. In order for that to happen, 2 things must be done. Step 1 is deactivate that user at your end. And then step 2 is send me an email saying, I deactivated this user. Here's this person's email. Please assign them as an administrator. Okay, so that's really important. So when you see that, but if we go back to the first page, you notice that there aren't any pencils. And that's because remember, the role I'm playing right now is a district administrator. So I cannot change another administrator. That has to be done at the state level. All right, usage report. This is a very helpful tab because it does a couple things. One is it shows me who has access to my MyKIP platform, and it tells me when was the last time they were in. Now, if we look at this, Mike Rower here was in 10 days ago. Why is that important? Well, maybe you have a working rule that says we want to make sure that everyone is monitoring plans. So if I'm looking at this and we're monitoring, let's say, at least every 6 weeks. So if I go so many days past that 6 weeks, I know that someone's not following through on monitoring. If I see an NA, that means that these people haven't even logged in yet. They have never signed into the platform. So this can be, the usage report is really, really helpful. And then lastly is third-party integrations. So what this means is that these are our state integrations right now. And yes, we are integrated with Nexus, but Nexus is not integrated with us yet. So as soon as they're ready, we've been waiting and we're ready to go. But you'll see here that we have My School Data. The Data Hub is another waiting to integrate. We're ready to integrate Data Hub. Data Hub is not ready to integrate with us yet, but they still are active. You cannot see those yet. So what you'll see is My School Data. But then under other district integrations, we have these two third-party vendors who actually provide district data to MyKIP. Now, in order to make this active, you have to be a customer of theirs. So to simply do that, if it says inactive and you are, let's say, an IDEX customer, you would come in here, click on that, and then they have a specific key and secret code that they need to give you. And you just can call the IDEX team and they'll give it to you all right away, save that, and then you'll find that this then will be active. So that is for if you decide that you're not a Munetrics customer and you just make that active, nothing's going to happen because you won't have access to that data. But so do check to make sure if you are customers of either of those two. We are going to be adding other third-party vendors in the future. I think the next one is Our School Data out of Kent ISD is the next one that's going to be coming through. Again, we want to make MyKIP so that your data is given to you immediately. We're really working on that. I don't know if you saw in the chat that we're getting MyFi visuals soon, hopefully in the next 3 months. And so no more of those big ugly reports. You can drill right down to see exactly what you want to see. All right, so are there any questions? Yes.
For IDEX, for example, if you make that active, do you have a screen that shows like all of the information that is filtered in, or like how we choose? Because there's a lot of information there and that might not all be part of our data story.
Sure. Good question. All right, I'm going into to add data. All right, so here we are, simply add data. Now, IDEX and Munetrics, what happens is they are constantly evolving. So Laura, to your point, there's like sipping from a fire hydrant. So what happens is when you click on IDEX, it's now breaking it down for you. So it's much more manageable. And you can click on, let's say, academics. And they just last week added a ton of new sources. And so here's what we have. And it's just a matter of going in and picking the right piece. And then what's here, this is a really good question. Let's see if we have this data. Because sometimes, because I'm in Grand Ledge Public, they may not be an IDEX customer. So, but let me just point out though, there's a pencil here. That pencil implies that you're going to give this a title. So give it a meaningful title. Don't just accept the report name, because if you're looking at M-STEP 3 to 8, you could be looking at math, ELA, science, whatever, and you won't know the difference because it just keeps that same name. You could come down here. We have the parameters here that's set. You could decide how you want it to look. And then we're going to simply just edit now. This is what we want. And then if you haven't been to this section, again, pencils mean edit. You simply are going to end up going back into IDEX, making a change to the report and bringing it back in. Or if you just simply wanted to open and view this, this is an important piece. When I view, like, I'm going to have like 8 data objects, right? That's a lot of little thumbnails here. But if you watch, when I hit this view, notice I get a new tab open. So if I have 8 data objects, I could have 8 open tabs. Put yourself in a room where you could spread those tabs out. If you have a smart board, or you have multiple screens, or the whole committee opens up one tab, you can then see those expanded views of each of those data objects, and you can look at them all at one time. And that's why we did a tab out, so that you could do that. And then when you're done, you simply close it, and here you are back. All right, thank you for that question. All right, so how to make it nonlinear. So let's do this. Let's go back to our portfolio for a moment. And I'm going to show you some tricks on how to move around my kit pretty quickly. So we're going to go here. I'm going to expand my accordion file. By the way, here's the lock that I mentioned before. So simply close it. And if I try to go in, and I'm an administrator, so I can open it, but it's not going to reload, and it's going to say close. So I close that one. I'm going to open it again. It'll reload. And then I'm going to go back and show you what I was going to do. But all right, so here we are. Edit district implementation plan right here. The strategy, if that is a link back to where you can change your activities out. It's a real quick way of doing that. So if you notice, when we're up here, there is no way to really change activities. I mean, I can go back and change the strategies very quickly, but I can't change activities very easily. This is the way you do it. You should come in here, and you can change all kinds of things. Continuous improvement is that monitoring and adjust. And this is one way that you can adjust, that you can come through. X's, as you know, is deleting, the ability to delete. You can always edit when you come in here, change dates. Maybe you have a change in an assignment. That happens. So you can do all of that here. Let's go back to the portfolio. Did I have a question? No? Okay. When looking at monitoring, and again, I know this is something the team had gone through with you probably very carefully, but I just want to point out some things. When you say that you've completed an activity, you get this little notice that it cannot be undone. And I've had now 5 districts call me and say, I didn't mean to hit that button, I'm so sorry. Well, it takes development. I have to go in and get my developers to go in and physically try to find this needle in a haystack to undo that. So I just warn you, please, we are going to be changing the rights for that you will have the right then to change the status, but that won't happen for a few months. So just remind you, please be careful here with that. I'm going in at the bottom. This is another way of navigating your plans. So you can come here and say, okay, after discussion, and if you want, there's always some prompts here to help you with that. You can go through and say, gee, is it time for us to start thinking about adjusting this goal? And you say, okay, what am I really going to adjust? Am I looking at strategies, the goals, the data story itself? Or maybe we just don't have the right monitoring tools that they're up here. We need to do something. come down here, make those notes. And then go, you may do nothing for right now with that. But as you come back and you go in, you'll see that this note is then stacked and they will show up. Don't go there. The newest one always shows on the top. All right, so this is really helpful when you have leadership change and you're coming in new to a district. This is an area where you want to check those notes, go in and look at them. Notes are everywhere. So we can come in here, we can add notes to monitoring. I'm monitoring a strategy now, this particular strategy. And so Dave, again, I know the team has talked about fidelity, scale and reach, and capacity. These are all elements for implementation science. So when we look at fidelity, it's like, are you doing the plan the way it was created? And so you come in and you talk about, well, in this strategy, yes, it's really, we read the research, we know what the basic steps are to carrying this through to fruition. We're right on track. Are we reaching the intended populations? Well, maybe we're not. Let's talk about that. And we can put some notes here. And then more importantly, you could start putting some evidence. And it doesn't have to be your interim and end target measures. It could be like, let's say one of your activities for this was looking at professional learning for the district. Has everyone been trained? Well, you could put in a roster that you can go in here. What has been the impact on kids on a particular program? Give them a survey, put the survey results in here. So adding data is very, very easy, but important. So that's some of the tricks of getting around MyKIP. The last one I want to show before going into translating from old system to new system is the reports. We are, the month of April, we are going to be releasing a very robust reporting system. So right now we're a little limited here because we have just district-wide plans, which is what this is, or we can come back and look at the school improvement plan or the building plan. By the way, this is how you stay compliant. So if on September 1st, which is a state requirement, that all districts must have a school improvement plan, you're done. I mean, it's that easy. It's right here. So you could go through and really look at any of your buildings that have plans. So that's really important. Okay, translating. If you've been around for a while and you were into the Assist platform and did our continuous improvement process prior to MyKIP, you're gonna know about the comprehensive needs assessment. That's a term that's no longer used in MyKIP. We now call it a data story. And so, little trivia here. We know that the comprehensive needs assessment had a number of questions. The question is, do you know how many there were? 112. And how many times did you have to create a comprehensive needs assessment for various reporting purposes? In MyKIP, you do it once and we use it many times. And so here, the comprehensive needs assessment is now broken up into 4 parts. We look at initial data analysis. In other words, what do we see? What's our trend? Then we do an inventory. And again, basic questions to help you figure out what are we currently doing or not doing to support this particular need. From there, we look at a gap analysis. What is it we're trying to get to and what is our current reality or state? And then finally, it's the summarization of what we've learned. And again, we provide you with some questions to help you really target that conversation. And so from here, that process does exactly what the comprehensive needs assessment would do. And that is to say, what is it that our students need? Or if you're a district that really looks at strengths, what are our strengths of our district? So that's one one area where you are from the old to the new. There's one more that I want to point out, and that is the performance evaluation tool. You're required to have to do what we call as a PET in MyKIP. And so here is the PET. It is the monitoring section. It is the adding of notes. This is where the PET lies, to show progress, to show you can add evidence here. We can expand the plus sign here, the accordion file. You can see that evidence was added in this case. So if your regional consultant is saying, oh, well, let's look at your PET, you could say, sure, let's go to our monitoring page, and you can see what the implementation looks like of that plan. So there's the embedded tool that's there. Okay, so stop for a minute. Are there any questions? Because we're going to go into new at the role and looking at quality plans.
I have a question. I'm wondering if what you maybe inherited wasn't a complete plan or a well thought out plan, in your opinion, once it was reviewed. Can that go into part of your story of like redoing everything? And what's the best way to go about that? Is it just to start fresh? Is it to modify what's there so you're not getting rid of the history?
Yeah, that's just where we're going next. So thank you. That was a perfect transition. So let's do that. Let's go in and let's start at, this is what I would suggest. If you're new to your district and you're going to be inheriting this, look at your plans for quality. All right. So when I come in here and I look at test goal 1, test goal 2, test goal 3, improving student achievement in area of percent, fractions, and decibels, and Tom's test. In my opinion, there's only one well-named plan here, and that's this one. The rest of them don't give you the idea of what is the student outcome that you're trying to achieve. So if you start naming these plans, ELA or NWEA results, let's see what else have I seen. Oh, early literacy. Those don't tell you anything. So you want to come back and say, what is it that you're specifically trying to do to change? What's the goal? It should state that clearly. Now, in MyKIP, and this is an area where sometimes people get confused. Okay, so here's the implementation plan. This is the next thing I would look at, is to go through saying, okay, what buildings are being affected by this? Look at the beginning end date to this. Now, if they're saying this strategy is going to take 2 years, consider the strategy. Where are you in implementation stages? If this goal is something that is brand new to your district, they just launched it this year, most likely you are in the exploratory stage. Always add on at least a year to your goal, because you're going to want to get buy-in, you want to get training, you want to start adding your materials or start really building those activities, right? Also looking for quality plans is think of activities as size of like how granular you want to get. So if in this particular plan, I would say this is not well spelled out. In fact, you notice that that Dave mentioned, put in some reminders about going in and checking and monitoring. Go in and put in some, like, for example, here, professional development for staff and parents. Do we have to go back and maybe in another year, pick up new staff and new parents that we need to train? I mean, you can decide how granular you want to be, but you've got to make sure as a leader, this makes sense, that these are the to-do list things that you want to do, and you can easily add or modify them. So that's, I think, another really important piece. And I wanted to take you back. So this is you'll see that this is listed as middle school mathematics. But if you recall, I started in the back end with the portfolio, and it said improving fractions, percents, and decimals. This information right here was your area of inquiry. That's where you started. You started looking at middle school mathematics with your data set, with your root cause analysis, and really picking those strategies that you wanted to look at. All of that was to meet this goal. But so the goal, the area of inquiry name and the portfolio goal may be different names. In fact, most likely they will be different. So if I come back here, excuse me, and I look at this, I know that this corresponds to my portfolio, but I need to know, like, what is that name? So if I click on the goal, notice here's the name. The name is mentioned here. So sometimes I think we get lost because our area of inquiry is not going to be where we end up in terms of the need that we're trying to address in our goal. So just note if you get lost here and do that. By the way, just a reminder here that this due date, if there's some things that don't align, it will give you some reminders. Usually it's in red that something's not right with that. And again, due dates, all of that, that's in the platform guide. It will help you establish that, but these have to align. So for example, if the goal ends on September 4th, 2024, and some of these goals may not be, they may go past that date, then you'll start seeing some error messages. So just make sure your dates are aligned. Another area to look at if I'm inheriting a new plan is to come and look at, see if we can do see about this one. I'm going to look at the data set. What data do we use? This tells me a lot because we know that we really want to look at balanced data. And what I mean by that is to look at academic, non-academic, and systems. It's that three-dimensional or multifaceted look at a need that's really going to provide you with a really good view of what's going on. I recently worked with a district that was having problems getting into my KIP. And they had an ELA literacy goal. And when we went in and looked at their data set, they had one data tile on literacy. And I'm like, so what are you trying to do? Well, we want to improve our NWEA scores. Okay, so what other factors are going to could influence that achievement? What do you mean? I'm like, well, how's your attendance? How are your students feeling? So are they feeling safe? What kind of systems do you have in place? And all of a sudden, I knew something was different because everyone went silent and then the room exploded. Conversations were happening all over the place because they had not ever thought about, gosh, just bringing in different types of data. So as a leader coming into new, say, do I have a good balanced data set? Do I have the idea? And when we look at this one, we know we have we don't have any perception data here or process data. Where's my systems data? What does systems data look like? There's in the website, I'm going to show you, there's some wonderful resources about data and what that looks like. But so that's another area that you can look at. Again, go to that monitoring page, look at the notes. That will tell you how often your continuous improvement teams have met. And by the way, teams exist in all the levels within your district. So you may have just one large continuous improvement team, or you may think of it as a committee and subcommittees, right? So your subcommittees could be like your buildings. So your building team then helps inform the district-wide team. There should be members, or perspectives throughout that team to share information. So, but make sure notes are being added, and they can be added by anyone who has editing ability. So they don't have to be administrators, they just have to be a user with those permissions. And then lastly, I always check, I think that's what's really important, is to come back to a plan and let's take this one again and look at the measures. If they only have one end target measure, it better be a good one, because you're kind of saying, I'm putting all my money on that one. And so having multiple measures really helps. You'll notice that you have qualitative and quantitative measures here as well. So that is important, especially if, let's say, the one that Dave did was the social emotional learning one. There are going to be a lot of qualitative data that's going to be attached to that. And then look at the interim measures. If you only have one interim measure and you've got a 3-year plan, that means you're going at maybe a year and a half before you even checking. And there should be more interim targets. You want to make sure that you have enough so that you're really monitoring effectively. And by the way, you'll notice that these end target measures are in the monitoring section. And we'll go back to that page. By the way, are you getting a good sense now of how nonlinear this platform is? Because I can go anywhere. Just keep, there's always a button for something. So we'll come back here. And so now I can see impact and target. It's all here on that front page. So monitoring is the newest element to BIKIP, and it really became, I think, one of the most important. So when you've got a chance to kind of look at quality, quantity plans, Laura, to your question about do I start over or not, I think that you have to consider the ownership of that goal, because there are going to be people who have put lots of thought and energy in it, and you're going to come in and, yeah. So you give some consideration to the climate that you're walking into, and look at that. And you may end up scrapping it, but make sure you thoroughly investigate it before and show the team what you found, and here's what you're going to advise. So managing a plan or a portfolio is really, it's time management, making sure that you really think about those mini cycles of continuous improvement, and really look at your monitoring section. Let that help you, because we know traditionally we're great at identifying need. We're great at creating plans with SMART goals, good measures, but then the steam comes out, the excitement comes out, and that monitoring piece then is left and like, oh, we really should check on that, shouldn't we? Well, monitoring is key. And so for successful implementation, so make sure that you set and manage your monitoring so that you're looking at it with the idea that, we're taking this, I always think baby steps, taking it one step at a time. All right, so where's your supports? You get stuck. I love the fact to say that this platform and process is so simple, so intuitive, so easy. You never need help. Well, that's not true. Sometimes you get stuck or weird things happen. So there's places to go. So the first one is always your ISD. Your ISD, we train ISDs before districts. So your ISDs are ready to go to help you. So that would be the first, is find the person or persons that are on your ISD team to help with continuous improvement. They would be my new BFF for sure. From there, you always can come to me and my team. So we have a mailbox that is, I'll show you on the website, but you can always write to me directly. We're always here to help. My team is under orders, I guess, that we want to make sure that if somebody needs help, we drop everything we're doing and we go right out and help. So, so we're really there to do that. The website is another really nice place to go. And so let's go there. So this is the website. basically it's, I think it's michigan.gov/MDE-MyKIP. But if you just go to the MDE site and type in MyKIP in the search, you'll get right here. But this is everything. Here's the support tab that we've put in a few suggestions in here, like, what if I get stuck? What if something doesn't work? Who do I contact if I want to talk about verifications? All sorts of information is for support is here. The next one, this is like sipping the fire hydrant because there is so much professional learning here. We have given you everything, videos, the PowerPoints, the notes to the PowerPoints. So if you want to train your staff, this is just a great place to do that. We always want to point out the professional learning bites. These are one pagers that really kind of help you deal with some of the larger concepts in MyKIP. From here, you can go to the newsletter. We are publishing now every month. We were in the beginning publishing every other week. That's a lot. So you can see here, we have archived all the newsletters. And if you're new to MyKIP, start on April 23rd, 2020, because this is the very first edition. And as you see, MyKIP will grow in understanding of the platform. So now we're at this like idea of, you know, most of us have been in MyKIP for a year or so. You'll see the newest editions, excuse me, really have something for everybody, right? So we talk about, this is a little link of what's going to be in here. Here's the update on the monitor and adjust guide, our user group here today. And if you haven't done the user group, we still have 2 more sessions, April and May. Go to the newsletter. And you'll get the information right there. Voices from the field. This is another way. I always give you an update on what's the new release, what's happening. Here we're starting a multiple part series on social emotional learning. Let's see. Okay, so we've got let me just finish this real quick and I'll let you go. But at the end of this is how to sign up for that. So if you're not getting it, this is how you subscribe to MyKIP. And then lastly, let's go resources. And I mentioned one of these resources, and this is the one here about data and knowing quality data. There, we have a lot of resources from MDE, but also from the field. And so this was done by a group, I believe, led by Laura Otten out at Kent ISD. And they were like saying, okay, so what does it mean to triangulate data? And they found that this was really helpful for them. We're very, we're thrilled by this type of information that comes through. So there you are. I know there's a lot here. And I know you feel probably a little rushed, but I will stick around for a little while if there are questions. Otherwise, please take your break and go back to your main room in just a minute, but I'm going to stay here for a little while. Thank you all for coming today. And I wish you all the best as you go and you live your continuous improvement plans.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Oh, thank you. Again, call me anytime.
Okay, good morning. I have a question that may seem, we are brand new to this and a newer school, but we are actually not on the My Data Hub. Like I don't have a login. So what do I do to get a login and like get us set up on there?
Okay, I'm gonna put the name and the email in the chat.
Okay.
Kevin is a genius. So he will help you. Oh, gotta spell it right though. And he is part of KBC. You do not have to be like technically part of the Data Hub to take on, to get us to be authorized. So you just need a single sign-on. And so they will help you with that.
Okay. So like when I go to the Data Hub, like I need to type in my school first, right? And then.
When you go to the
Or how
date,
does that work?
I think you want to get on My Launchpad is what you really want to do.
Okay, which is where I'm at.
Okay, and so,
I think,
If-
hold on, let me go back and make sure that's what I clicked on. Went to my tip. And the launch pad, yes.
yes, so do you see a My Kip icon?
Yes, I clicked it.
Okay, so you are, you're in, you should be in My Kip. Is it giving you a 4 or 3 error by chance?
No, well, oh no, I don't see the my Kip, thing here. So I can click the My Data Hub login, but we don't have a login.
Okay, so it doesn't say, hi, Kate, anywhere?
No.
Okay, yeah, so you're gonna have to write to Kevin Bullard and just say,
Okay,
I need to get a single sign-on for My Launchpad. And then ultimately what will happen, have you signed your district agreement, do you know, for My Kip? Has that been signed yet?
I don't know.
Okay, Kate, why don't you and I plan to meet? And so here's my email. I'm gonna put it in my chat. Let's get some time.
Yep,
and
I
I'll
got
go-
it earlier when you wrote it up there, the
Okay, good. Yeah.
nugent@michigan.gov.
Yep, so I have time later this afternoon if you want to, maybe we can hook up and just go take 15 minutes to show you all the steps that you need to do and get you connected to all the people that you need to connect. It will not take long, less than an hour,
Okay,
and you'll be up and running.
if I need something, okay, so we're a charter school, and our parent company is in California. So is that something that they would have taken care of?
Yeah.
It's from here that like my principal needs to sign, right?
Yes,
Okay,
but your principal or your superintendent or your lead administrator.
okay.
Oh, and then what is your district? Or
Flex
your-
high?
Flex High. I
Yes.
thought you are authorized. Huh,
And maybe
which-
we are, but I don't have a login and I've been
Okay.
trying to get one.
give me a second here. And
'Cause I'm in charge of all of it and don't have any way to get on. So like, it's really frustrating.
it sounds like it. So let me go to Flex High because there's a few of you, right?
We have Flex High North Flint and Flex High Burton. We're technically the same, but also separate.
Okay, so
That
which
makes
one are
sense.
you? I'm sorry, Flex
We're North
High.
Flint.
Flex High Flint.
Might be
Shepherd-
North Flint.
Let's see, let's do this way. Are one of your district administrators, Michael Springs?
It was, yes. That's
Ah.
our last principal. He's no longer principal, so
Okay, and you're the principal?
no.
No. Okay,
No, my principal now is, his name's Brian Jackson, or James
Okay.
Jackson is actually what his email would be.
definitely. Your district is in and authorized, but now we got to make sure the right people are connected. So
Correct.
we definitely need to find time. Just send
Okay.
me an email or your available
Yep.
time and we'll go through all
Absolutely.
that.
Perfect.
Good
Thank you so
questions.
much.
You're welcome. All right. Are there any others?
So Terry, I sent you an email with everything.
Okay,
Sorry, hold on, let me close my door.
okay. And I see your email.
So I just want you to, we have thin walls here, but I want you to just know that we're at ground zero.
Okay.
Nothing has been done since August. I took
Mhm.
over starting on Tuesday. So
Well,
I'm-
congratulations.
Thanks. I'm not surprised, but and I'm not as, I've done a lot with our local, I'm Oakland County ISD. So Carol Anthony's been great. She was in this role before, so she's working with me. I just haven't had the process of uploading anything yet. So,
Okay.
but Terry, I just sent you all the logistical information.
I see.
And I know this is a continuous improvement, but is there some sort of timeline that we need to make sure we at least get some goals in there?
Yeah, so the expectation for this year is just every district needed one goal in my KIP.
Okay.
So if you
And that's
have
by
one,
June?
well, it should be now. So,
Don't tell me that.
yeah.
It's okay. I'm right there too with you. So like,
Yeah.
we
and
can't
that's-
even log in. So you're good.
That's right. Well, and the
I
other
can
thing-
log in, that I can do.
That's good. But remember, this was our learning year. So there's a lot of grace and forgiveness this year
Okay,
because
good.
goodness gracious, some people can't even find kids, and they have a staff that's just, I mean, there's so much to do this year. So if you haven't gotten to this yet, it's not too late. We can do that, and we can do it easily. So Melissa, I think what would help you, because you're going to be super busy, let me make all of these administrative changes. And then the other thing we should do, like I'm going to do with Kate, is to sit down and just let's look where you are, and let's do some, like, what are the basic things we need to do right now? So
Great.
the timeline things have never changed. You have to have a school improvement plan. What is that? September 1st.
Right.
You in consolidated app, you need a district plan by June 30th. All of
Yeah.
that stuff still needs to be there, but there's some nuances to planning. So if I said one new plan, what about, we've always used our title funds for, say, hiring coaches or literacy.
Right.
Right. So that directly goes into the Khan app itself. You don't have to have a plan for that. But we're still waiting for next year's recommendations for planning. So I can't really tell you what next year's going to look like. My recommendation to the state superintendent has been, let's make it all about baby steps so everyone can be in the same, be in a good spot 2 years from now.
So Terry, why don't you just email me back on the email? And I've been working with Pat on my consolidated app. So I'm in a good space there. I'm just kind of tackling big hurdles along the way. This is my next big hurdle. So can you just shoot me an email of maybe some available time slots that we could maybe sit down and set up a time to talk? Great.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome. And
I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Jennifer, did you have a question?
I did, Terry. I had to step off for a quick call. And so there was a part on your beginning agenda that I had a lot of interest in when you talked about, the previous CNA and how that relates to now. Did you talk about that already?
We did.
Okay.
And so let me go back and
I'm sorry. That was the big thing I needed to take away from today. And
please do not apologize. Okay. So let me go. There was two things from former to current, and then that I'll get to you in a minute. So when we look at the data story, so let's just come here. So we have data objects, right? This is where determining our area of inquiry. We're going to look at this, and based on this data, this is where the comprehensive needs assessment comes in.
Okay.
So you start with, what's the trend? What am I seeing in these data objects that connect to each other?
Okay.
The next one is, what are we currently doing or not doing in our system that is supporting or not supporting our area of inquiry? And so in here, you'd see we have some questions that can kind of help generate the discussion that's happening. And again, this area right here is always for notes, and you want to take notes with summary, something. Then you go to third part, which is what's currently happening with these kiddos and where do we really want them to go? And it's that distance or that gap that we're trying to measure. And then lastly is, okay, now let's summarize it. We know what the trend looks like. We know what we're doing, not doing. We definitely understand that our kids are, 20 points behind, or 50% of my kids feel unsafe, whatever is the measure that we looked at in terms of the gap analysis. And now, like, what is that? What is the what that our kids need? And that's what comes in here. And we also gave you more questions for consideration, again, to help you. In fact, a lot of these questions will then help you transition into your root cause analysis. The second thing you asked about is the other piece, and that's the performance evaluation tool, the PET. So the PET actually lives in monitoring. So when you come in here, where you're going to go is really in the notes. Everything in monitoring has a note. And so like right here, Who is your field regional consultant?
Pat Mukes.
Oh, Pat. Okay,
Mhm.
that's wonderful.
Yes.
So Pat could come in here and look at your, your notes and say, wow, you've done some good data. They can't see your data, but
Okay.
they could see your notes. And so they could say, looks like you're making progress. In fact, you say that here. Let's see, do we have any more notes? No. And it's okay if you don't have notes for everything or data for everything, but you want it where it makes most sense. So they're going to
Okay.
see, did you fill out, have you discussed fidelity? Have you discussed scale and reach? And have you discussed capacity for every strategy? That's the performance evaluation tool.
Okay.
Yep.
And then this is the district level. We're not, in the past, buildings have done their own comprehensive needs assessment.
Well, but
So-
let's go back, because this is a district goal, but
Yes.
strategies are more likely in the building level.
Buildings. Okay.
So everyone contributes to that
Okay.
conversation. Mhm.
Okay. And as of right now, it's still just the one goal.
Yeah, that's the expectation, is one goal. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time and for reteaching.
That's all right. It's not a problem. Annette, we have 1 minute. I apologize. I know people have been, if you could unmute yourself. I see you have your hand up, so I want to make sure. All right, well, I think what we're going to do is go back to our main room, and we're going to stop recording.